All right, did you miss us? We are back. Oren Glickman and Jack Terrell to dissect week one. Jack, what a week of action. Two games went to overtime. I think it lived up to the hype. Your thoughts?
It's my favorite time of year, baby. It's ABC Summer Ball. I'm here with my fake palm tree background to celebrate the summer. Um, Very excited. Was man. I mean, I know what my nights look like. From 8 to 10. I'm sorry. Put the phone down. Put the game down. There's no football. There's no basketball. But for me, there is TABC ball. My favorite thing to watch. A really great week. A lot of things. There was a lot of where Jack and Oren were right, a lot of where Jack and Oren were wrong, and those are the funnest things to get proven.
Yeah, and you look like you had a lot of fun in your first game playing alongside Burry Klein.
I absolutely love my team. And I don't just say this because it's my team and I have to say it. No, no, no. I love my team and I love playing with Burry. This is he's forget the fact that he's an over-prepared captain and extremely intelligent in terms of basketball IQ. He just picked a really great group of guys in chemistry. Sometimes you could have a team that has, three or four stars, and then, everyone's kind of trying to figure out, where the hierarchy lands and who's the alpha and who's the gamma and who's the no, we're just playing basketball. We're just moving the ball. Oh, he's open, bang. Oh, he's there. All right, here. All right, I don't have it. Take it. All right, I'm gonna set a screen. I'm gonna go back on. I mean, we already have a play. I mean, we have inbound plays that we're running, which is kind of not something that you see at the rec league level, and even at many levels. That's we just ran that out of bounds plays 50 times, and I just really enjoy our team. I think our team this year. I think it would be tough to. I think the difference. All right, so I like our team a lot. I think even saying all that, and I'm just going to speak briefly on it. We did all that without our second, you know, scorer,
Right, Meisels.
Shlomo Meisels, who's our version of Yoav Deutsch. Which I think, if you looked at our game, our biggest pitfall is kind of if you kind of slow us down in the half court. Where is there an easy bucket that's not dump it down, right? Meisels opens that up. He's a natural point guard that you can now then just run pick and roll, cut baseline, another scorer, another defender. So that's just going to open things up so much more. So you saw what we saw with the Kings, and then add a type of guy that's similar to Yoav Deutsch, which is really scary to think about. So I'm excited to be able to play with him. I think in comparison to my Hawks last year, my Kings this year, I think we would have a difficult time scoring on our Hawks with the Reinhardt brothers, Lifshitz, and myself. But man, could this team light it up? We could light it up.
All right, so why don't we get down to business? I'm going to share my screen and we'll go over my power rankings, where you agree, where you differ, and let's do it. So the Pistons won their first game by 10 over the Wizards. They looked great during sequences, and then they didn't look so great at times. I still don't think that's enough though to take them out of one. I still think there's a lot of good there with what they did in opening with week one. What do you think?
I think clearly they have the most talent, right? We've all agreed, and they won a game that they were supposed to win. So you can't really penalize a team for winning that game they were supposed to win. And also, the pitfall of having a lot of talented guys is, and not necessarily Ari Mitnick is the type of guy who's like, all right, we have the most talent, let's shut up and beat him. And he's not like Burry Klein is a guy, or Jack Reinhardt, they're showing up with 18 different pages of ways that we're gonna try to win. And there's two schools of thought of doing it, and neither is right and neither is wrong. But I think again, they have the most talented basketball players: Aaron Heidemann, David Moskovich, Austrian, Ari Mitnick, obviously. They look good. I think they're one. I think they could be beat against a 2-3. I think that we're yet to see what kind of knockdown shooting they have. But if in terms of post-ups, offensive rebound, running the break, getting to the line. I mean, this team, yeah, they're the number one team. I mean,
They
defense.
also have Blau and Strulowitz who can get you buckets when you need them. I really think this is the only team in the league with all 7 players on the team capable of having big moments for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's positives to that, but there's also could be like pitfalls because people need to fall into line. If there's 7 guys, there needs to be a guy who goes, I'm the 7th guy, I'm the 6th guy, I'm the 5th guy, I'm the 4th guy. And people have to understand where their roles are. Sometimes, a lot of the times when you have a team like that where all 7, things need to fall in line. But absolutely, do they have the most talent? And absolutely, are they the toughest out?
I think it was actually interesting. Isaac Lafer was going up against Ari Mitnick. They were teammates last season, and I think Isaac Lafer is one of the better defenders in our league. And Ari, still got his points in the paint.
Well, Isaac
Know,
Life is a guard. He's not going to stop a 240-pound forward from who's Heidemann actually made the great call. He's Zion Williamson without the jumping. He's just so strong and just gets to the rim at will, and nothing you can really do about it. He's so strong, and he's like country strong. He's like farm boy carrying barrels over the top of his head growing up, and he just grew up big. I don't like he's not lift weight strong. He's farm boy natural wrestling bulls. Just bringing him in. He's just strong, and
right. And it's
Isaac
kind of
Life
funny.
is
In high school, he was kind of like a Steve Novak, spread the floor, hitting threes. He's totally evolved his game, and it's a pleasure to watch.
so
And
interesting. I think
let's
that's
also note the fact that twin Rafi was on the losing side of this. So
well. I spoke with Wizzo and Adam Dietz before during the game. I'm like, why isn't Rafi guarding Ari? And he's like, well, or why isn't Ari guarding Rafi? Because there was a stretch where the Wizards were staying in it because Rafi was just posting up Heidemann or Mendy or whoever was guarding him. I'm Blau. And the best matchup for Rafi to guard him would be his physical apparent, which would be Ari. And they said twins they don't guard each other. They don't do it. They're guarding each other. So I thought, that was look, I get it to an extent, but if this was a playoff game and they were facing the playoffs, Rafi, you got to guard Ari. Ari, you got to guard Rafi. I mean, chat. You could wish for the best for your brother, but also want to, in the spirit of competition, try to beat him. When I play Ryan, I guard him, and he kicks my ass. But then he also guards me and kicks my ass. But it's in the spirit of competition. I think you're doing a disservice in a way that you're not going to give your best version of yourself to the person you love. It actually helps them, right? So I don't know. That's my theory. That's my take. I wouldn't know. I'm not a twin, so maybe there's something more to it. I hear other twins have the same thing, but hats off to the Pistons and hats off to the Wizards. I think we're Oren and Jack were right. Oren and Jack were wrong, and
I think we ranked them. I ranked them last in the preseason rankings. So
we thought they'd be terrible, and
yeah.
they were solid. They got some really nice lifting. I like him a lot. Like he's got a motor. He's a defensive stalwart. They got pieces. They're a nice team. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to be good. They're not an easy beat by any means.
No, we'll see how they fare in week 2, and we're bound to get some more Mitnick brother matchups because Mikey Mitnick's also in the Eastern Conference with the Heat. So that's
but in a night like that, Rafi should be guarding Justin Hode or Benny Tuckman, not necessarily Mikey. But so they won't have that.
No, different types of players for sure.
Yeah. And
all right, so Pistons remain top dog. Number 2, I moved your Kings up substantially. What do you say to that?
Well, you already gave my take what I think about our Kings. But
I think as well as you guys played, I think you won convincingly against a team that I think will be very good later on in the season.
I think the Jazz are one of the best teams in this league. I think they're one of the best teams in this league. I think Simon Brukeem has, again, my apologies to Rav Yosef Weinberger. He'll know what I'm talking about. I don't want to call anyone out on the pod, but he'll know what I'm saying, and my apologies to others. Last time I played with him, he was a guard. He was like a wing. And I was like, I'm just like, yeah,
He's got great footwork, his ability to make tough baskets.
he's Tim Duncan. Look, this is what I gotta say that kind of went wrong for the Jazz and where they can improve, right? They have this unstoppable post presence that I don't think anyone in the league could stop. He was scoring against Burry with me helping, double teaming, and still getting his baskets. That's incredible. And hitting threes and having all the moves. And he has the pedigree, right? He's the fifth greatest Valley Toro player of all time and was the greatest for 10 years, right? Until Ryan came and averaged 38 points a game. Fine. Has the pedigree, he played for YU, he has the footwork, he has the IQ, he has the size, he's Tim Duncan right now. They should be running, forget anything else. If Ori has the ball, Ori Short's kind of like Kyle Lowry. I'm going, get in the post, space it out. No, Kalimnik, other side, right? Throwing into Simon, go to work. If they double Simon, pop, Kalimnik, pang, right? Pop, Monka, ping, right? Pop. I'm dishing out. I'm working it inside to not only be like a Duncan, which he is, but maybe even like a Jokic. You have to double, and he's good enough to make passes out of the double team. And I think, last night or the other week, obviously it's harder to do that, when I am sitting in the paint and just going and daring their non-shooters to shoot. It makes it a little bit more difficult. But I think there is a pathway for this team to be completely unstoppable with that inside out kind of game. I think they were great. I think we had the matchup 3 weeks in advance, and
Also, how many 3-point attempts did Kalimnik have?
One.
Kalimnik, he's a spot up 3-point shooter when you give him the opportunity. It didn't
Well,
look like
I told Lior Kadok, I said, he's you, so don't leave him open. And I mean, maybe he had 2 attempts, but Kadok, to his credit, he's like, yeah, I got him. He's not gonna get a shot. I'm gonna hug him. And I was able to, sag off and help in the paint. So if there were drives by Ori, I'm there. But I think they're a really good team. I mean, I think they're a really good team. Go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead. You could say more on this.
I mean, it can't go without notice that Lior Kadosh, like, what the heck? Like, that guy was, oh my God. They just didn't learn, anytime he had a wide open look, he just buried it.
I don't know if it was necessarily not learning, but I think, we just moved the ball really well, and we picked spots and got open, and we executed an offense that I don't think it's the Jazz were doing anything wrong necessarily. It's just like, if your guy gets blown by, help side comes, kick, then that guy drives, help side comes, kick, that helps it. And when you're moving the ball and running and passing, eventually Kadoka is going to be wide open. And Isaac Gore got a lot of threes last year, right? When you have a big that could draw double teams, or you have situations where you have guys who could blow by their initial defender and get that help side D, and now you have a defense scrambling, your corners are going to be open. But shout out Judah, the rest of the guys on our team, a Bitin, Judah Lyons, Burry drafted an amazing team. I mean, top to bottom. And I gotta give props. I gave one of our guys the Terrell treatment on a couple things, and he not only withstood it, whereas I was really intense. There was a stretch they went like 6 straight points, cut the lead to 12, and I was really on the guy. He came back down and hit a 3 and was like ready to play D. And it's like, that's a champion. Like, if you're able to withstand that kind of adversity and the yelling, and even though the yelling's not good, I had to cool down. I have to do better and cool down in situations like that. But if you're able to withstand that and then come out and hit a 3, you're a champion. You're ready to go. If the game's at the
no, but it seems to me like, obviously it's Burry's team, but it seems to me like he's giving you a lot of authority here.
I don't know if it's authority. I'm just a basketball player. It's Burry's a captain, and we're basketball players. Like, we're great basketball minds. It's like, I know, when we're on the court, we know what we're talking about. If you watch both of us, you could, and I rewatched the tape, and I kind of, if you watch it, like, you could see the minds churning. There's no ego involved. It's just like, this is the best play. and this is what we're going to try to do. In my opinion, I could be wrong. I don't know. But I really I enjoy playing with that team.
No, week one could not have gone better for you guys. Okay, so number three, this is a team that I really didn't know anything about. You didn't know anything about. The Spurs put us on notice this week. Leo Rubin put on a show. And he put on a show against a team with Zevi Samit.
So, okay. I am really disappointed I'm going to speak on the Rockets and I'll let you speak on the Spurs. I'm really disappointed in Zevi Samit, and I'm really disappointed I think he needs to do a better job of
If I recall last year, Zevi didn't have such a great first game too.
It's not about that. It's about the fact that I want you to rewatch the game and do a tracker of how many times he passed it when he touched it. When he grabbed the ball, he gets all the attention in the world. And this is the kind of thing that everyone's looking at him. He's a vacuum, right? He's like in orbit. The whole defense is shifted and paying attention to him, right? How many times did he utilize that advantage? Blow by his guy because he can anytime he wants to get his teammate an open shot. And I think I get it. He's Zevi Samit. He should be working on his game. He should be using this to work on his skills, and this is left hand and this thing. Great. But I think there's an evolution of maturity that probably needs to happen in his game, that he uses this league to work on his distribution skills, his skills of making his teammates better, of getting guys open shots, and if they miss shots, there's nobody better in the world to be a good guy and supportive than Zevi Samit. He's a Rebbe. He's a man of the Torah. He's even keeled. And I think that kind of energy would be actually helpful to a team that wouldn't feel so bad to miss shots. It can't just be Dan and then Zevi and then Dan and then Zevi and then Zevi and then.
But that's exactly the problem. There's no other player on that team who can give this team a spark besides Dan or Zevi.
Yeah, so maybe I'm wrong then. I don't know. I just think.
Who's that player? Just tell me who the player is.
I think Sammy Nat's pretty good. I mean, he
won a championship last year.
Won a champ. He's not going to hit an open three. That's hurtful. I think maybe I misspoke then, and I'll apologize for being kind of harsh, but I really want to see him.
This is the problem. This is why, look, you can't judge too much on week one, but this was the concern I had, and this is why I ranked Dan's Rockets so low before the season even started, because I think he invested everything on Zevi, and there's just not enough balance there.
No, there's none. You can't win it with two. Dan was very good with his
Joe Amar, but there was more balance on that team.
And Matt Reinhart
was on that team.
Jovi Marcus and Mendy Trulowitz and
yes.
They had a team. They had a squad. No, and it's weird. I think that Zevi Samit would have been perfect for the Jazz, right? If Kalimnik picked him fourth, and you can't go wrong with a point guard and leadership like Ori Schwartz. You can't. But I'm just saying, if you picked Zevi and he had Brukim and Malka and Kalimnik, and now you're talking about Shaq and Kobe, right? And Malka's kind of like Fox, and Kalimnik's kind of like Brian Shaw, right? Now they have like an 0-1 Lakers dynamic.
It's kind of funny. I feel like every year, I love Donnie Kalimnik, but I feel like every year we always have a show where we tell him how he should have drafted.
Well, Zevi Samit was sitting there. You could have had Shaq and Kobe. He has Kyle Lowry and Shaq. That's fine. That's good. That's good. He's a really good team. They're going to do really well. They're going to do great, and they're going to be a top seed. I think they'll be the 2 seed in the West. All things considered. So on the flip, I do feel for Zevi but I just want to see him trust his teammates before he goes off and decides there's no one here I can trust. I'd like to see a game where he is really just the distributor. Like if he comes off a pick, 2 guys follow, he's hitting that guy for the roll. If he's driving and 2 guys follow, because he's just drawing 2 or 3 guys every time he moves. So Dan's not going to be open because that's going to be the scout. Hug Dan. He's going to have 2 or 3 guys on him. He could tell Rottblatter, I don't know who's on his team. I think it's Rottblatter. He can tell him, just stay in the dunker spot and I'll hit you. I'll find you. And utilize, shimmy shake, get by his guy, boom, dump off. I just want to see that from him. It's a skill I haven't really seen, and I'm putting it out here a challenge as he's one of my great good friends and someone that I look out anytime I can do my best to look out for, and someone I respect tremendously and a huge fan. I'm in his corner. I'm in his corner. It's to death. I'm a ride or die for Zevi Salmon, but I'm so, as his friend, I'm putting a challenge out there to be the kind of guy that really is gets his teammates involved. Like, just I'm gonna get you the ball, and if you're missing layups, I'm gonna work with you before the game to do some micans, and you're gonna get the ball in that corner. We're gonna shoot 5 threes. I'm gonna get you warm and really take it on himself to kind of lead in that sense. Otherwise, it's not going to be Dan. Dan's not going to do that. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Otherwise, this team's in trouble. I mean, we gave their over under at 2 wins, and yeah, I mean, got to do more. I'll let you speak on the Spurs. We were wrong about him. We didn't know Leo. He looked great.
I don't think it's necessarily we were wrong. We just didn't know about them. You have to give look, this was the only real game of the week where a team dominated from beginning to end. There were no lapses in concentration. There were the Rockets had never at any point did you think Dan and Zevi were coming back. And they did it without Ariel Friedman. It was their second pick. This team has a lot of speed. They shoot the ball well from the outside. Ruben's dynamic. Rubenstein can hack it.
Big.
Yeah. They're a great team. And, I think I'm always skeptical of new people coming into the league and having instant success right off the bat. But yeah. And Evan Chesner came up big. Kazovitz is a great role player. Joe Rosen is only getting better by the year, in my opinion. Got all the way to the finals last year with the Timberwolves.
Joe Rosen's a proven starter. He's a proven winner.
Yeah, this is a team that can go all the way to the Final Four. Not saying they will, but they can.
They have the capability of making the finals. First off, I think this team would match up well with anybody. I mean, I know that I'm going to be hitting the drawing board. I might show up to their game next week with a composition notebook and some glasses, just to get everything I can on the Spurs to try to see what we can do. They're really good. And
Ruben's apparently a hockey player. Go figure.
I think he's just an athlete. I mean, he's all around.
Right. They were really fun to watch. So yeah. We'll see if they can make it 2 for 2 once we preview the week 2 matchups. All right, number 4, Rami Lafer's Lakers. It was quite anytime I feel Rami Lafer and Akiva Gottlieb hit the court against each other, it's going to be a real battle. And it was again.
I gotta say something about my man Akiva Gottlieb. That guy has got ice water in his veins.
You saw that 3 he hit for the reason why we ended up in overtime.
I mess with the Akiva Gottlieb. That is my mother-loving man. I mean, he has got ice water in his veins. He is cold-blooded serial killer. He is ruthless, like just a. It's like, the thing of Kobe doing this. Gottlieb just catches, pop, bam, in, down 3, tie game, big shot, cold, no emotion. Come back, rip through, corner, fade away, 3, down 3 again, bam, right again, cold, no emotion. I really think at the end of the game, the ball should have went to him. If I was on his team, and I think I'm looking for him. Even if I personally think whatever, like, I'll give you an example.
He might disagree with you.
I play with Jason Michigan in a fall league, right? You could argue that I'm better than Jason Michigan, but he had it going, right? And I was like, I am. And the game was on the line. We were down 2. And he was cooking. And even though you're like, oh, Jack, you should do the shot. You're the post, no. Michigan's feeling it. And even though, offensively, he probably is better than me offensively. But either way, even if you don't feel that way, I give him the ball and we spaced out. And it's like, get it. So I think in a situation, so with these two guys, Mason and Gottlieb, they're going to have to figure out, all right, this is kind of the things that we I don't know if we talked about it or heard about it, but like who's feeling it that night? Who's the guy with the game's on the line that needs to take
Right. In this
it?
case, it was Gottlieb, but not Wedgel.
So but Wedgel, who was a little cold from the free throw line. Obviously, he had a
Yeah, he
great game.
struggled at
He's
the
a
line.
great player, but I think Gottlieb should have had the shot. But he took a shot. He took a good shot. He didn't take a bad shot. They are very good. I have to say about their team, this is where Jack was wrong. I was wrong. I said that I didn't think they were good. I didn't think they have the team. They didn't have this role players. I think this team is excellent. I got to play them next week. I'm not looking forward to it. They got that hockey player who's a really good role player. They got shooters. They got gamers. They got high IQ individuals. I mean, they're a great team. I know we said the East is better, but I'm looking at the West. We're talking about the Kings, talking about the Spurs. I think the Clippers, in terms of the teams that lost, I think they were the Jazz. I think the teams that lost, the Clippers and the Jazz are incredible, are probably the best two teams that lost this week, unless I'm speaking out of turn. I mean, those are great teams. And that's not even to consider that the talent and the potential of the Warriors and the Mavericks that we think they have. And your Pelicans are solid. So I just think the West is stacked, right? It's stacked. And I think this Clippers team is really good. Having said that, Hami Alexander, the minute he showed up on the court,
He hasn't lost a step.
not only that, I think he gained a step. He was the MVP for a reason. He is so damn good. He does everything right.
How about Yitzi Weiss? I was on to him, wasn't I?
Oh, you were. So Hami is great, and he kind of looks unleashed here. As this looks like Hami unleashed. I think last year he had this team of guys that he played within the framework of the team, and that worked. And then this year it's like, well, no, you're our guy, and you take the point. And shout out to Rami Leifer. He picked Yechiel Tannenbaum. I think was a great pick.
You were on to that. You were on to that.
I know him really well, and he's about 6'3". He could rebound. So now you can play Hami at the post, or you could say, Hami, you're going to play wing now. We'll put your field down low to get rebounds and post up and block shots. And now you don't have to have Hami guard their best big. You could have Hami on their. You could hide him on defense. You know how people want to do that. And this guy, Yitzi Weiss, is a gamer. He makes.
Fears no one, no matter how tough the
flashy.
opposition is.
He's not flashy. His game's not sexy. It's not ugly, but he gets the job done. He gets buckets. He makes the right plays. He's the type of guy that you look at the scoreboard, you're like, oh, he has 20 points and 6 assists. And he's just, you notice him. He's really good. So this Lakers team is really good. And anytime you have to face these guys where you have so much worry on Hami, and you have these role players that can knock shots like Yitzi Weiss and Yechiel and the other guys that they have on that squad. West is a doghouse.
Yeah, I just want to point out this overtime game could have gone either way. I think if these teams battled it out like 10 times, it would be like a 5-5 split. That's how even they are in my eyes.
Yeah.
I used to think I was the most valuable pick in the last round of the draft, but I think Gottlieb was onto something with Abner Baruch. No one knew who he was, and like the guy
He's a
was,
hockey guy, right?
I don't know. Just I never knew. I don't know who this guy was. All I knew was he would message the Instagram account a lot. He's playing, and he looked decent in that first game.
He's really good. They got a good team.
Yeah.
And Gottlieb's smart. He knows what he's doing.
No,
So that's where Jack was wrong. Clippers are good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get some egg on my face here, because I ranked the Bulls pretty low. You can never count out. You can never count out the Reinhardt family. You can never count out defending champions, no less. They played the Knicks, a very strong team led by Jason Langer. Langer and the Knicks started out the game on an 11-0 run. Jack Reinhardt was a de facto captain with Matty out of action. Bulls won, 5 players the entire game. I moved them up to the top 5. I was very impressed with the way they won that game.
Jack Reinhardt, he plays like Scottie Pippen with a jump shot. He's
number 1 overall pick for a reason, right?
I mean, he's such a great defender. I really would like anyone to find 5 guys that you'd rather have than Jack Reinhardt. I think he'd be hard pressed. He is so good, so smart, such a great defender, such a great shooter, passer, floor general, captain, coach. he was everything for them. He was their everything that night. He did it all. He put the team on his shoulders and said, "We are not losing." He guarded Langer. He guarded Gersberg. He guarded Herman. He guarded Boosie. He guarded 1 through 5. He had 5 blocks, 6 steals, 5 assists, 20 plus something points. It was a reason when I'm watching Jack Reinhart, I went, "Oh, no wonder nobody could do anything to us last year when we played together. You got 2 guys with long arms. I had that guy. That guy is a monster. He was the de facto. I mean, he plays with a ton of heart, and I mean, this is just a guy who refuses to lose and knows what it takes to win, and is just, I'm we're getting it going. Like, let's go. And look, I think here's the pitfall though. A lot falls on him. I thought the Knicks were good, but again, they're older, and
Well, a lot doesn't fall on him because Maddie's going to be back next week, you presume.
Matt agreed, but Matty isn't a scorer necessarily. He's an amazing defender, an amazing
He can when he wants to be, in my opinion.
He's an Andre Iguodala with a better shot. Like, he's a really good shooting Iguodala. He's not necessarily like who's like DeMar DeRozan. Like, he's not like, give me the ball, I'm gonna get a bucket. Jack, a lot falls on Jack. Last season, he had myself, he had Isaac Gore, then he had Matty, then he had Lifshitz, then he had Sammy Nad. You had guys who could come off and do a little, I love Kleinhaus. He's really good. I love who's the other one? I'm forgetting him.
Well, let's see which 5 they played with, because they had 5 the entire game.
No. It was Kleinhaus. They drafted him. Hold on. I liked him. Bookbinder. Love Bookbinder. I think they have like a lineup of death, those with length, and they're going to be tough. But the key to them is like, I mean, Knicks, can you throw a second defender at Reinhardt? Or if you're going to go zone, can you try to get the ball out of his hands? Can you rush him, throw 2 and get it out of his hands? I mean, for God's sake. And secondly, Knicks, and kudos to Jack Reinhart, all the things. He's an MVP candidate, and I think that if they Bulls, with the roster that they have without the size, and necessarily they have good shooters, but it's not like, you don't look at them and go, oh, they're like the Lakers last season that had like 4 or 5 of the best shooters, right? Like Merwitz, Nolan, Klein, like that was insane shooting. They have good shooters. That's fine. I think if they finish a top 2 or 3 seed in the East, Jack Reinhart has to be up for the MVP discussion. I think he probably might be the one who wins it. Like, I think if the Pistons are the 1st seed in the East, and like, you go down the list, and the Bulls are the 2nd seed, well, then I think it's not even a question. Jack Reinhart's the MVP.
I'm not trying to sell the Bulls win short, because I do think it's a massive win. I even told Hank Reinhart, who's kind of the unofficial 8th man on that team, that it was a massive win, a very impressive win, the win of a champion. I will point out, though, that Boosie got hurt in the game.
Yeah.
No, listen, I was first time I saw Herman, I liked what I saw out of him. And I'm not trying to make excuses for the Knicks. I mean, they were one of the top teams. I ranked them as one of the top teams going in. I was a little surprised that they couldn't close. That's all.
I think that they didn't play the game the right way. It's like playing to win. If you have Langer,
right, Langer got a little quiet on the offensive end too towards the end.
I have trouble guarding Langer, and I consider myself one of the better big defenders in the league, and I have trouble guarding Langer. Why aren't they pounding it inside? All right, Jack Reinhart blocked you 3 times. Go get it, pound him, make him jump. Because Jack Reinhart can't muscle Langer out, right? He's not strong, but he can jump and block it. But what happens is you get a guy down there where you're pounding him and he's jumping and he's moving. You could tire him out. That's a lot to take in for Jack. Eventually, he might go, Bookbinder, can you guard Langer? Okay, I'm going right over the top. Like, they didn't post him up. They had so much more size, so much shooting with Herman and Boosie. They had Gersberg, who's a very solid player. And they posted up Langer like, what, 3 times? Langer, I get it. He's an unreal shooter. He's an amazing shooter, but it matchups, right? If you're playing against Yehuda Gutman or Moskovich, stretch him out. But if you're playing against Jack Reinhart, you have 50 pounds on him. put your butt on him and post him up and feed him, right? Yeah, they fed him like 3 or 4 times. I think Jack got a block on 2 of them, but then the other two, it was like, uh-oh, did they figure something out here? Like, did the Knicks figure this out that they could just dump it down and look, Jack's no easy guy, no matter who you are. But it's about not only attacking where you have an advantage as a post player, as a bigger guy, but also tiring the other team's engine, their catalyst, their MVP, their everything, right? Everything revolves around Jack on the Bulls. Why wouldn't you want to attack him and try to tire him out? Not saying that he would get tired. He has that kind of motor, but at least it's a strategy, right? Nothing was working. He was doing everything he wanted. And but let's get Boozy and set some hard picks on him, right? Have Jack run into some hard picks. Let's tire him out, right? And Knicks will be fine. They're going to figure it out. It's week 1, and they all have to learn to play together. I think they're one of the top teams.
I agree. I agree.
So,
I felt like I had to move them down out of consequence for how they lost that game.
Yeah, of course. I agree with 12. I think 12 is very fair. I don't
They'll
think they're better than
be
the
back.
Clippers. I don't think and you can't punish teams that won. So out of the teams that lost, I think the Clippers look the best, and I mentioned that. So yeah, I think 12 is fair.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the Heat. Justin Hode's team, playing without Benny Tuckman week 1. I think I had them higher going into season. I think the reason why I moved them down slightly was while they won, I didn't think it was all that impressive a win.
Because of the opponent?
No, nothing to do with the opponent. However, I will say Johnny had an off night, so they lucked out in that regard. I think if Johnny was making shots, they would have lost.
I think this is another one where Jack was wrong. The Nets are good. I mean, any team with Johnny Nolan, he's the best leader in the league. And you were lucky last year with the Lakers that you had the best leader in the league in Isaac Merwitz and the second best leader in the league in Johnny Molman. Any team with Johnny Nolan will play the game
It's still a family, by the way. We still talk as a group.
Yeah. And amazing. And any team with Johnny Nolan is going to play the game the right way and play it the right way. And here's the thing. So I'll speak on the Heat and I'll speak on the Nets. The Heat, it was a pleasure to finally watch a team with Justin Hode after watching for 3 seasons since COVID. This is the 3rd season that makes sense for him, right? This is a team that, like, we played together that first year with R.A. Halper, but we didn't have enough shooting around us. So teams would just pack it in. Okay. And it was just awkward. Then last year, obviously, they had their issues of trying to score or get points. This team kind of makes sense that it was really lovely to watch Justin on a team that could do the work of scoring, that he could trust and rely on his teammates to score for 3/4 of the game and then be able to take over in the 4th quarter. I mean, Mikey Mitnick looked great. Yaron Schneider looks amazing. That he has the shoulder.
We have the same personal trainer.
Huh?
Yaron Schneider and I have the same personal trainer.
Well, there you go. He looks great. And that's without Benny Tuckman and without Jacob Wedgell. The Heat are really good. They're definitely, when you look top to bottom.
And Mikey, I think we saw in week 1, Mikey Mitnick is healthy, fully healthy.
And he's healthy and he's a great player. And they have a lot of size. And they're not a team I would want to play. So I don't think 6th is a bad spot. So I think that's good. And I think, we'll see as the season comes on. We'll see how they look. I think they're a really tough team to beat just top to bottom paper.
Oh, look, and they won a close game, and anytime you win a close game in this league, it's considered more impressive, I guess.
Well, maybe, but I think the Bulls win is a more impressive close game win than necessarily the Heat.
Well, the Bulls had to come from behind. They really had to fight. I don't think the Heat really had to fight so much. I think like I said, I hate to sound like a broken record, but Johnny was not making the shots that he usually makes.
The Nets, they're going to play the game the right way, and they're going to be okay. They're going to be a good team. They're going to be hard to beat, just like the Bulls. They have heart. They're going to play.
Yeah.
So far, I've only seen one team that really is just a pushover, and we saw them against the Spurs, which is shocking because they probably have the best 1-2 punch in TABC history.
I know. All right, number 7, the Cavs. They were in our second overtime game, coming up with the dub over the Magic. Did anyone have Ellie Greenberg going off in game 1?
All right, so this is where Jack was wrong. Go say that again.
Did anyone have Ellie Greenberg going off in their TABC Summer League bingo card?
This is where Jack is wrong. I should have known better. I know Ellie Greenberg. I played with him in the Upper West League. He's a complete and absolute dog. He's a dog. He's a pit bull. He is a man's man. He's competitive. He's mean. He's tough. He's strong. He'll undercut you. He'll bump you. He'll hit open threes. He's a really good piece. He's a championship kind of piece. You need
Schreier's your best player, and I think their significant contributions didn't even come from him in this
No, he
game.
was for the most part neutralized by the size of Zerman and Gartenberg, and Fuhrer is really good. He's a YU former Mac, and Greenberg's great, and Polinsky could shoot. I was wrong on the Cavs.
21.
I should have known better. They're really put together nicely, and they're gonna
Yeah.
win.
And I had the Magic ranked pretty high going into the season. I mean, it's only one game, and Gartenberg did get into foul trouble. If he didn't foul out, maybe it would have had a different ending. I mean, listen, they almost won at the buzzer. Bellows almost hit a game-winning three. It rimmed in and out.
I think that the Magic had the game in their hands and they let it go. If you're up 3 with the ball, you get the ball to JJ Zackheim. You put the ball in his hands, or Adam Dietz. You have 2 guys who can hit free throws. You get the ball in their hands and you trust your guards to take care of it. At the end of OT, JJ had the ball. He's probably one of the best one-on-one scorers in this league. I think in Teaneck. I think even in the greater New York, he could score the
from
ball.
Birkenfield, so let's include that too.
He's great. They get the ball out of his hands. It doesn't get back into his hands. How did you not get the ball back into JJ's hands with seconds on the clock? All right, you got it out of his hands. He's running to the ball. How does he not get it back? It's crazy. If Kobe, you got the ball out of Kobe's hands, Kobe's going to get it back. And then maybe Kobe makes a move and kicks to Fisher or Uri, but it's coming from Kobe. You got to get it back to your Kobe. And then
I agree. I don't think their offensive sets were so great down the stretch.
And I kind of texted this to JJ, and he's like, "What do you mean I was scoring at will?" And I said, "Yeah, you were, but when you involve your big men, if you run pick and rolls for Gartenberg or Zerman, right, and they start catching it and laying it up, they see one.
Right, but again, he didn't have Gartenberg during the critical moments.
You could, but I'm saying you could still run pick and rolls with Zerman. He's 6'4", and if you get your bigs involved and you get your other players involved in a play, they become more empowered and motivated to go after that extra rebound, hit the other shot because they saw one go in, hit an open shot because they've been touching the ball, they've been feeling it. It's very hard to come in a game not really touching the ball, and now you got to catch and make it. So it's really on JJ, who could score at will at any time, and that's not an issue for him. He's not, but he's now in a situation where he needs to. He played with me and the Mitnick brothers and Gartenberg and Heidemann in the Zion League in an insane all-star team. We're the type of guys, me, the Mitnicks, Gartenberg, we don't need to necessarily touch the ball. And if you give it to us, we'll be comfortable with the basketball, because I think those guys that I just listed are A+ stars. So for some of the other guys on this team, he needs to just at least involve them, I think, a little bit more. But I think the Magic will be okay. Obviously a tough loss that I think they let slip with clock management and turnovers. And shout out to Ellie Greenberg.
Yeah, because it did seem like the Magic had it in the bag, and then you'd see like a crazy shot from Polinsky or a crazy shot from Greenberg, a crazy foul and one for Fuhrer. Credit to the Cavs for not letting it get to them, and they just kept plowing.
Greenberg is a Shane Battier, so they have a Shane Battier, they have a Zebo, right? They have Polinsky, who's a shooter. They have Fuhrer, who's like a Rudy Gay, like he's a scorer. They got a good team. They're like the Grizzlies. They should have been the Grizzlies.
No, and I give Rami. I mean, maybe it's based off the growing up together. I give Rami a lot of crap. I think in all the years of Rami being a captain in this league, I think this is the best team he's drafted.
Who do they play next week?
They play. Let's see. They are the Cavs. Oh, they play the Pistons.
Well, this will be a test.
First game of the week, no less.
If that game is close, I think that's more of a tell. If they get smoked, I mean, it's still first week. We don't know if the Magic are good yet. We think they are.
I still think they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Moving on
to my Pelicans. I'll just note quickly, I got in for the last 15 seconds, grabbed a defensive rebound, almost scored at the buzzer, if not for Sammy Turner intimidating me as time expired. We got the dub, and we got the dub with two guards out of action, two key guards, Rami Pinshot and Noam Koritsky. Mendy Strelowitz subbed for us, and we got the dub. We won by 5. And I take total credit for us drafting Joseph Siegel. No one knew who he was. Now you know who he is. He had a good shift for us.
Yeah, dude, Siegel, that lefty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he could really shoot it. And so
I
could
knew,
Isaac Moore.
he's not even a ball player necessarily. He's just super athletic. He can play any sport.
He could really shoot it. He could really score.
And Gore had a quiet night.
Hold on. Brian Schorr wants to know, did he watch the game? To watch the Pelicans game. Sorry about this. I didn't. I like your team. I mean, they have you have the pieces of a team, right? You have the point guard, you have the center, you have the shooters, you have the defenders. So the Pelicans, but I think
We look good on the defensive end. Offensively, we're kind of stagnant at times. I will say, I think for the most of the game, yeah, I think we had Turner in check. Yoav Deutsch, for anyone who thought he was gone after last year, he is officially back.
No, he's always been there.
He was never gone. He was just on a bad team.
He was on a team that didn't make sense. They're good. They're tough. They're strong. I think you have them ranked properly at 8.
Yeah, they'll get a lot of wins this year too, I believe.
I think the Pelicans, I think they're a team that either could go one way or the other. They could either go like 6-2 and they look really good and they're a tough playoff team and maybe a Final Fourist, or they could go 3-4 and it just never comes together. And
I think that was the first team. I think that was a good team for us to open up against, though. A team that's not a team that the Mavericks, a team that's not necessarily the top of the pack, but not the bottom of the pack either. You know, I think it was a good first team to play against.
yeah, you cut your teeth and you get it dry and you get to work it out. I feel like if you guys opened up versus Spurs, it'd be tough.
Were you guys?
We'd be tough. I think we're tough for anybody. I think that's Burry. I know defensively we're just really tough with Burry and myself. And you know, if you don't have shooters, if you don't have 5 shooters, you can't play against us without 5 shooters on the court. You can't. You're not going to score. So you need that. So yeah, so they're a good team. Pelicans are good. Mavs are good. I think 8 is good. I'm curious to see how they look moving forward. I mean, this is running it back here too for Jordan. I think Jordan has a little bit of something to prove in this league. He's never had a winning season yet in this league. Every year he finishes below 500 since COVID. I can't speak the years before. I think this is the year where Jordan.
Keep in mind, Hode and Weisberg were part of that team that almost knocked us off. And
They did, and it looked good. They certainly put it together when it mattered. So I think this is Koritsky. They have a team. It's about time Jordan Hode, who's as good a player as can be, and one of my favorite players to play with, you know, demonstrates his value in this league and why he is a superstar player. So I'm excited to see their success.
Yeah. Over to number 9, Fear of the Deer Nation, the Bucks, Team Weinberger.
Way too low. I have Weinberger under the Bulls at 6 and maybe even at 5. And go ahead.
Okay, so you were really impressed with them week 1.
I think, all right, so that I've actually thought about this. Well, look, they have all the returning guys.
Right, so they don't have to. They could just hit the ground running. They welcome Noam Block into the fold, and he looked solid week 1.
He's great. He's a great defender, and you know, people
shut down Halpert.
Yes, he did, and he is a lockdown defender, which I don't think Simon Brokeem is. So, like, as much as Weinberger maybe he fits their team, and they're going to be a contender because they were basically the second best team last season, right? They almost beat the champion, and no one else came within 15 points, and they're really good. I just think you got to put them 5, and I think they play together. They know how to play. All of them have tremendous experience. They're like the San Antonio Spurs of the Duncan years. Like, they're going to be good, and I think they're tough out. They all shoot.
Lonnie Weinberger in particular had a good game.
and someone else is gonna have a good game every week. They're as tough as it gets. I wanted to talk about the Celtics.
I'm not trying to sell the Bucks short just because I have them 9. I thought they had a good win, but I I thought the Celtics were awful.
I think they need to run sets. They need to run plays. They don't have. This is the problem. I took a look at them and I said I love them, and I think that's because it's a team I'd love to play on. Like they're missing an Ari Mitnick. Like if they had Ari Mitnick, they had Mason Wedgel, they had Akiva Gottlieb, they had Hami Alexander. They're a title team. They're
Levine had a team like that a few years ago when he had Gartenberg, Mason Wedgel, he had Avi Kozlowski,
Kozlowski, yeah.
Ethan Walfish.
And Wallfish. Wow,
Yeah,
they're
remember that team?
I do. They're a superstar away from being indestructible, but unfortunately, they don't have a superstar. So they need to run way more pin downs for R.A. Halpert. Like they got to free
I
him up.
mean, Josh Chesner was out of action. Keep that in mind.
But he's also not. He's not Ari Mitnick. He's not He's not Mason, right?
No, what I'm trying to say though, he will make this team better as the
Yeah,
season goes on.
I think they need to run. They need to pass and screen away. There needs to be no ISO stuff with this team. It's got to be ball move. They got to play like the Bucks. It was actually interesting that the Celtics played the Bucks because the Celtics should look at the Bucks and say this is the blueprint of how we need to play. The Bucks don't have. They have Alex Kelson, who's in my opinion a super duper star. Like he's a top tier guy. But Alex Kelsey could very well be put on a team where they don't win a single game also. And just because it's harder for point guards to just leave an imprint because it's just harder. They don't block shots, rebound. I get it. Of all the reasons.
I wonder how their team WhatsApp group works. Do they just have the same WhatsApp group every season? They just remove
And 1 year they kicked off Moskovich, and then next year I had a Lipner, and then they kicked off Lipner.
Right, just change the name of your team, and then every year just remove the one guy and add the new guy.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make, there's no reason that Moshe Cohen and Yoni Levine and Josh Chesner, Aria Halper, all these guys can't be like Dove Weinberger, Yosef Weinberger, Moshe Kelson, like they need more pin downs for Aria Halper. They need to free him up. And they need I liked Moshe Cohen. He looked really good. I love seeing that, and a guy who is
Valley guy, right?
Valley tour guy. I love seeing him succeed. He's very strong. But they definitely miss Chesner. But they need to go to the drawing board and figure out ways to get easy baskets. Otherwise, they can't really score. That's a problem in a rec league. You got to be able to score the ball. So they need to figure out ways, whether that's Moshe Cohen sending a pin down for RA and a kick on a pick out. Now he's catching and he's shooting, or he's catching and he's ripping and kicking. Like if they could get ball moving with driving kicks and off ball screens, on ball screens that are moving the ball and getting shooters open, now they're tough. But if they're stagnant and they're like, all right, whose turn is it? That's the opposite way how this team should play. They don't have the ISO guys to go, whose turn is it? The Pistons do. The Spurs do. The Suns do. They don't. So, and the Heat do. They don't. They need to figure that out. And, the Bucks are going to be really good.
And they have plenty of time to figure it out. Season's young. All right. And now to round out our top 10, the last team to get a win, a team that we took a lot of shots at, and they took the shots back at us in return. Brian Schorr, we hope you're watching.
Brian Schorr, we just asked him to come on. So he might come on. He might join the Zoom.
Okay, talk about his team. Well, his team is
call him. I'm calling him right now. I'm putting him on the phone.
Okay. Well, let me say this. I took a lot of shots at them, but I still can't really discuss them because they played in the old gym. So I didn't watch their game at all against the Warriors. But a win's a win. I like to call them JEC light because they have a lot of JEC players and Brian Schorr. And Aaron Heller apparently had the game of his life. Yeshiva League Pass style.
This was the big time where Jack was wrong and Oren was wrong. Aaron Heller is a beast, apparently. He's a money machine, and he's a force to be reckoned with.
And it was against the Warriors team that you and I both liked going into the season.
I have to say something. I didn't see the game, but I did get some intel.
We both didn't see the game, so we really can't. All we can say is
I got some
wrong. And now we have a guest. And now we have a guest coming on to the show. It's Brian Schorr himself, as we're discussing his son's win. So now we have someone who was in the gym that night who could really tell us how that game went down.
He's
Brian,
looking
welcome to
handsome as
Jordan.
ever.
I feel like I wore this outfit last time I was on last year, not much has changed.
Anyway, we really look, we're conceding. We were wrong. We were wrong, okay? But we weren't at the
were
game.
dead
So
wrong.
take us into the room that night.
I think we came in with a chip on our shoulder. We didn't really have much to lose, so we kind of gave it our all. I think we were a bit taken aback and a bit offended, to be pretty frank, with the very low ranking at the beginning of the season. But that's all right. There's always a Cinderella story, underdogs. I think where we're underrated is just, I think, raw talent. I think we have 4 to 5 guys that just can play good ball. I think a lot of teams are top heavy this year, but then after the 3rd or 4th round pick, like, they just don't have any options. But I think we have 5 or 6 guys. I think 4 top guys, but I think 5 or 6 guys that can legitimately really do a lot on the court. So I think it's hard to guard us. Obviously, we're undersized, but I think we make up for that when it comes to like agility, pace, and speed. So like we can slow down the tempo, we can speed things up. And I think surprisingly, like we boxed out pretty well,
Who drew the assignment of Paul?
Say that again?
Who drew the assignment of guarding Paul?
So it was Jake Goldberg, but then he got injured. So that's going to be a tough loss for us. We're not sure how he's healing, but it may be slower than we want.
I like to call you guys, by the way, JEC Light with Brian Schorr.
Right. We made a lot of big jokes.
What was your guys' game plan going against the Warriors? Obviously they got Wizzo, Asaf Miller, Stevie Paul, Jonah Tripp. It's a daunting thing to look at. And you guys came out and handled your business. What was your game plan going in against that team?
So I'll tell you, last year, I think I was as the season went on, I got like very into kind of crafting game plans, and really getting a good feel for who the teams were, because you could kind of see where they were playing and understand who the players were. This year, we didn't have much of a game plan at all, to be quite honest. I don't want to say it was a fluke. It wasn't. I think we definitely were the better team, and that's why we came out in front. I think Heller was a dog, and he was something that no one expected to do. He's an exceptional scorer, very fundamental player, and that was super, super helpful. But what I think is that if he doesn't do that one game, then we have Schmarz, Jake Goldberg, or someone else that could do that another game, right? Like, we have the offensive talent. I think what we were focusing more on was the defensive stops and rebounding. Like, Ethan is a dog on the boards. I don't know if he comes in probably below 6 feet, Ethan Freilich, but like, that guy will take any guy head on. He will play dirty defense. He'll fight for scrappy balls. And I think we won on those kind of like net plays. And that's what gave us the edge.
You had a lot of second chance opportunities against this team?
Not really, surprisingly, as much as what I can remember. A lot of shots fell, to be quite honest. A lot of first shots fell.
What I heard.
And if not, I think the kind of objective or the goal was to not try and fight for offensive boards, because Stevie is super, super talented. And there's not a guy like that in the league, correct me if I'm wrong, that has
Maybe
that.
Joaquin.
Right. No, but has that speed and agility and handle on the ball, but it's also big enough. So they were running and gunning with the softest quick. Wizzo can fade out and just, spot up anywhere on the court. Like, so we didn't really want to lose any energy or opportunities, on the offensive board. So shots went up. We kind of just went back and stuck our ground there.
Were they themselves shocked at all, or did they?
I think a bit. I think we come out, like I said, undersized. A lot of guys in the team aren't really known. They're not grandfathered into this league. They're first year guys. I think we're a force to be reckoned with. I'm honest about our skill and our ability to win. I think there are obviously impediments and obstacles in that, but I do think we have the raw talent for sure to compete with any team in this league.
Let me ask you something. What's a good NBA comp for Aaron Heller? Like, who does he play like?
I have. First of all,
Trae Young.
I will admit that I'm not a huge NBA fan anymore, as much as I used to be. But Oren, you had an idea?
Maybe Trae Young.
He didn't see him. We're asking you.
Yeah,
It could be when you were.
Right, but he's less of a true point guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's with Schmarz, he's not bringing the ball up at all, right? Schmarz is like the leader of the team. He's the
Schmarz is like Chris Paul,
right? He's more of like a pure 2 or 3. But I don't know if those really exist in the NBA anymore. Like, for some reason, my head went right to CJ McCollum or a Bradley Beal or a poor man's Devin Booker, maybe. But again,
right.
like, you're comparing to NBA
Well, you
players.
are the Suns, so let's go with Booker.
Right. So that makes right. That's a good.
In fact, in the post-game interview, I called him a
right,
Jewish
you did say
Booker
that
on steroids.
You did say that.
Yeah.
It'll be an exciting season. It'll be an exciting season.
Who do you guys play week 2? We're going to preview the week 2 matchups if you have time to stick around.
I think we play the Spurs. Is that the
okay.
Ruben, Josh Kazovitz, I think, DeRozan.
It's a test.
That's a primetime matchup. I think
they're good.
I hope you're in the new gym for that so I can watch.
Right. There's some good ball players. I've never played with a lot of them, so I'm excited to see kind of how they come out. You know, I've heard some rumors about some of the guys on their team. But, you know, let's see if they're true.
Warren, let's quickly go through the matchups this week. And
Jack, we don't have to do 11 through 20 because we kind of already discussed
did them. Yeah. So why don't we
you want to do the top? These were my top 5. Tell me where you differ. Simon Burkeem, Aaron Heller, Leo Rubin, Ari Mitnick, Jack Reinhart.
Well, I put myself there, but I understand you don't want to be biased. I did have 24, 16, 7, and 6 blocks in a win where we scored 81 points and had a 15-point differential. But I'll leave myself out of these name lists. It's about the dub, it's about the letters, not the numbers. But honestly, the way you have it, Simon obviously was great, but I think you got to reward Arnold Heller.
He's the only one I had there who was on the losing end of his game.
Right. So
was that a shock? I mean, you guys covered that. Obviously, I came in late, but.
Yeah,
what was your take on that game?
I thought it was going to be a close game from beginning till end, and Jack and Burry kind of were in total control the entire time.
You know me and Burry are psychos when it comes to over preparing and over analyzing.
Right. Yeah, there's too much personality on that team.
Right.
Too much. I think it's just enough. I think we're just going to do that because we love it so much, and I think we're just two basketball minds. So when you play us, you have to know that we're gonna know what you ate for breakfast that morning. Like we're gonna just research it. We'll have a scout at the T-Next Square window with binoculars looking into Westgate, seeing if Brian Schorr went to bed on time. And then, maybe he didn't. We're going to attack him. No, so we're kind of crazy like that. But what was very shocking for Simon, because when I played with him 3 years ago in that Yeshiva League Legends tournament, I played with him for 3 tournaments in a row. He was a wing. He was a 2-guard. He was taking off the dribble, and at the last year, he didn't have the first step anymore. So he wasn't very good the last season. And that was when Ryan came in and was the 2-guard. And Simon was like, wow, he had a great run. That's it for Simon. He had a good run. He was good. And now he shows up. He's 230 pounds of pure muscle, not strong with soft dunking feet and up fakes and up and unders. And he has all the guard post moves in this gigantic big man body. And he was scoring at will with Burry single coveraging and me just sitting in the paint helping over. He must have had 45 points of their 66. He was incredible. I think he's really good, but obviously you have to give Aaron Heller and Jack Reinhart player of the week, number 1 and 2.
How much did Reinhart have?
Reinhart just did everything. I think he had he had 24 points, but he had 5 steals, 6 blocks, 7 assists.
Had a little bit of support from Kleinhaus, but he's largely responsible for how
that team is just one carbon copy of each other. And that,
they're all just different versions of the same guy. Yeah.
Right.
And the one thing, they all play with heart.
Right. Reinhardt, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, all right, let's get Schorr's picks.
All right. Well, all of us. Cavs, Pistons. Pistons go 2-0 for me.
Brian?
Yeah, I'm with that.
I think the Pistons
win. It's Team Polinsky against Team Mitnick.
I think this next one is interesting. Pelicans, Warriors.
I'll abstain since it's my team.
I'm going to take. I think it depends on one guy, Stevie Paul. From what I heard from my inside sources at the game, Stevie only had 10 points or so.
No, I think he probably had more. Maybe he had like 15, 16.
I think Stevie needs to be.
Who are you gonna throw at him, Oren?
Weisberg.
He's too quick for that, though.
Yeah, that's
like
tough.
Stevie's a guard. Stevie's a legit guard.
He needs to take. If Stevie doesn't score 24 points, they lose. And
also with the advantage of Tripp, they can use Tripp as a decoy. Right, and Tripp's big. Tripp can take Weisberg also and give Stevie some time to recuperate on the defensive end as well.
I think this
I'm not making a
They
pick,
might
but it
throw a
sounds to
zone at
me like
them.
you
I don't
guys.
know. They might throw a zone at them.
It sounds to me like you guys think the Warriors.
I'll
Will
tell you
bounce back.
what, I got a case of Miller Lite with Brian Schorr. Brian's going to take the Warriors. I'll take the Pelicans. I think this is a telling game for the Warriors. If they lose this one, I think it shows a lot more about the team than we initially thought.
I think the Warriors are pretty young. They have, Wizzo, Stevie, Asaf, Tripp. They're all like 23.
Tripp
I'm
just
not saying that really matters, but sometimes
Right.
a bit of
I mean,
age.
keep in mind we had a really good win without Koritsky and Pinshot, and I'm going to assume they're going to be back for this one. So we'll be a
Right.
friend.
Right.
I think the Warriors should win, but I'll take the Pelicans. I'll take the Pelicans for a case of Miller Lite with Brian Schorr. What's your beer?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Maybe like a Blue Moon.
Blue Moon. You got it. I got you.
I think Monday night's
West.
great. I love the Monday night slate.
Let's do it.
And then Celtics Heat. Assuming Benny Tuckman's back for the Heat, I think the Heat cruise in this one.
Celtics can't score. He'd have too much size. Justin Hood's a problem. So
All right, slam dunk there. Moving over to Tuesday night, Magic Wizards. Both these teams lost opening week. I think Magic get on the board here. Isaac Lafer against JJ Zackheim.
Right. I'm gonna take. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
No, go, Jack.
No, I'm gonna take the Magic. I think they're gonna bounce back from Teflon. I think if there's any tandem that's gonna give JJ Zackheim a tough time, it's Isaac Leifer and Rafi.
Right.
So that's gonna be tough. I think it's on Dietz now and the other guys to kind of step up in this matchup because I think Leifer and Mitnick are gonna give JJ. They're gonna make it hard for him.
I think Gartenberg can have a big game in this one.
He could or he can't.
Rafi.
Huh? Who's guarding Rafi? Yeah, no one really, but he's not really someone who scores 30 points. His value is more.
I put Dietz on Rafi.
Right, that might be the best matchup there.
Who are you taking, Brian?
I'm gonna take the Magic.
All right. I agree. I think this is a Magic's game to lose, but Wizards are very capable. Lichten is tough defender. I think they match up. The Wizards match up with Magic really well. So we'll see how this game goes.
All right, so 3 for 3 on the Magic.
This is going to be a good game. I think it'll be if it's a fast-paced game, Magic win. If it's a trug-out dogfight, Wizards could pull this through.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see. Okay. Tuesday night, does Zevi Samet bounce back? Do the Rockets win?
Absolutely not. This is a 50-point blowout.
I mean, there could be two truths here. Zevi does bounce back, but
and they still lose.
The Rockets still don't win.
Zevi could have 70 points and they lose 90-70. I just don't think it's not happening for this team.
Dan doesn't have anyone who can contain Hami.
Dan's got to stick to music. He's a good music man. Captaining isn't his strong forte. It's no, I'm just teasing. No. This is a tough one, man. They gotta face Hammy Alexander in week 2, and they don't have the pieces to deal with all that. The Lakers win by 50. That's the over under. And I'm taking the over.
Oh, you think it's gonna be a blowout again?
Smoke.
Wow.
Who else is on the Lakers?
Rami Lafer,
right.
Yechiel Tannenbaum, Hami Alexander, Yiffy Weiss.
It's just really it's Hammy Alexander unleashed. Like I feel like last season we had him on a team where he had to play a role with Ori and Gottlieb and Rosen and Pinchot and Benheim, so he had to fit a role.
Yeah, now he can really be the alpha dog here.
He's he's everything you love about him.
He really doesn't have to share the ball so much, he can kind of just do his thing.
It's the Hammy show. It's really everything that you love about him is unleashed on this team, and it's fun to watch him go.
Yeah,
he's really a Jokic.
To round out Wednesday, it's a New York matchup. The Knicks and the Nets both lost opening week. This is a good matchup. Jason Langer against Johnny Nolan.
I have nothing to share here. I didn't watch either. I don't know.
Right, these are older teams. It's
not my.
I think the Knicks win.
I'll take the Knicks with you.
But if the Knicks lose, I think we're looking at a long season for New York. I think it'd be hard to bounce back 0-2 against two of the easier teams perceivedly, like on paper in the conference. Like obviously any team with the Reinhardt brothers is not going to be easy. And any team with Nolan is going to play the right way. But if you looked at the Knicks at the beginning of the season, you said, wow, these are two like pencil in wins for this squad. And if you can't get that, obviously you have the Celtics in week 3. Maybe you could use that to bounce back. But I think this is a bigger game for the Knicks than anticipated. I think they need to pull out a win here.
Yeah, I'll take it with you. All right, Wednesday, last games of the week. You know what? We're actually going to do Thursday's games too, even though they're part of week 3, because we're probably not going to be back for a show until after those Thursday night games. So Wednesday we got. Oh well, Jack, you want to recuse here? It's
I'm abstaining. This is why we have Brian Schorr on the show.
Yeah. I think you guys too. Gottlieb will be tough. I think you eke it out here. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think so too.
Great game though. Great game though.
You got any takes, Mr. Schorr?
No, I don't know who the Clippers have.
It's Akiva Gottlieb, Mason Wedgel,
Rough
Charles
Halpert,
Benheim, Yehuda Halpert. I think this is a game where Jack can cook.
Right.
Well, they're going to be tough. They're.
I think defensively they're going to have trouble with Jack.
No, Gottlieb might assign himself on you.
Yeah, but
he probably
even
will.
Though he's bigger than you, he's tough as nails defensively.
I don't know if I'm bigger than Gottlieb. I think he outweighs me. I'm thin now. I'm skinny Jack this season. So yeah, my son got me sick and I lost like 15 pounds and I don't really, I was like, I'm not in the gym trying to put it back on. I'm just like, all right, I'll live with that.
I'll take you guys to go 2-0.
Yeah, I think they're going to be really tough. I think when I initially
close game, very close game.
I think when I initially looked at the schedule, I penciled this one as an easier one, and I thought the Jazz would be would be a difficult one, and and the Jazz were, they gave us all that we could work with. We just had a really good game plan. I got to tell you, Ogner better be ready to show up and hit some shots because otherwise he's going to be unplayable. I'm just going to say that. Ogner's the hockey guy, right? The tough shooter. I mean, the tough
Amir Gavrin.
Gavrin, yeah, whatever his name is. He better be ready to hit some threes. Because
he was kind of quiet. He was kind of quiet in that Lakers game.
Otherwise, there's not going to be any layups. So I'm just going to be, he better be ready to shoot because I'm guarding him.
Brian, seems like you agree with me.
I think the Jazz win.
No, the Kings. Previous game.
Sorry, we're on that one. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
But that's a good segue. Jazz Mavs. I think Jazz get on the board.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think Lipner might be the only guy with the strength to kind of handle Simon, but I think the Jazz bounce back.
Yeah, I think the Mavs needed to beat us because it seems to me their schedule gets a lot harder after that. They play the Jazz and then they play the Spurs.
Yeah,
they needed to get on the board with a win against us.
Mavs is a tough one. I'm going to take the Jazz. I think they're really good.
Yeah,
I think they're going to win.
Bucks Bulls, Weinberger against Reinhardt. I think that's a great game. It's kind of a rematch in a sense of that overtime playoff game
last year.
I think the Bucks win because
that was the semifinals.
That was the
quarterfinals. Because Jack and the Hawks blew out me and the Lakers.
Right.
In the semis, and we went into this is the game we almost lost, and it went to OT, and Rav Yosef had a 3 at the end,
right,
to win.
Jack, I'm disagreeing with you here. I counted out Team Reinhardt last week. I'm not doing it again.
I am going to do it, and I'll give you my reasoning. It's not to knock on Jack, who I think is an MVP and tremendous player, but
it's in the old gym. I'm going to miss it.
But
I think I'd rather be at this game than the Jazz Mavs.
This is the exact team that almost took out Jack Reinhardt when he had myself and Isaac Gore and Eric Lifshitz and Sammy Nat and Matty pre-injury. Matty's coming off an injury. I think not a lot of people know that. So now he's facing the exact same squad that almost took him out with a better defender in Noam Block, who's going to give him physicality and try to wear him down. And and he eked it out with a superior squad. A squad this year is obviously a little bit worse. I mean, on paper, we could all agree. And the Bucks are exactly the same. So I'm going to take the Bucks.
I know every team is different, but the type of resolve that the Bulls had in week 1 to beat a talented Knicks team. And
Yeah, but
Matty
the
will
Knicks
be
didn't
back.
have any resolve, and the Bucks have a ton of resolve. Those Weinbergers are dogs. They're fighters. They're not going to quit. Melon Block's not going to quit. Like, you can be up
Look,
12.
it's a really good. This is the game of the week for me.
This is the marquee matchup. Mine is
And ironically, it's in the old gym. The game of the week for me is in the old gym. I'm taking the
last week's game in the old gym was also pretty
right.
pretty big highlight reel. So you
All
know,
right, Brian, you be the tiebreaker here.
I like the Bucks in this game. I like the chemistry. You know, I know more brothers. You know, 3 brothers or even 4 trump 2. So you know that's the type of style
four brothers against 2.
Right.
No, four on 3. 4 on 3. You got Michael Reinhardt.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
right. And I think Jack's point brings it home though. It's kind of like you look at these teams on paper from last year to this year. The Bucks have kind of really stayed the same.
No, and I agree before the season started that this Reinhardt team is weaker than last year's Reinhardt team.
You know, is maybe if I might be getting my names and teams wrong, but it's just they took Lipner and Block and did like a little switcheroo from last year. Is that what happened with the Bucks?
Yeah,
basically. Other than that,
Block now this year.
And Block, I haven't seen him play.
Defender.
He can probably do a lot of the stuff that Weinberger wants him to do, which is why I drafted him. So I think the Bucks take this one.
We shall see. And now Brian will have to recuse here. The Spurs against the Suns. Lightning strike twice, Jack.
This is 2 teams that I didn't know anybody, so I'm gonna.
Right, these are the unknowns.
Hold on, they're both in my conference, so I'm gonna be there on Wednesday at 10 p.m. with a composition notebook and some glasses, taking notes on both of these teams with maybe my own camera in the corner, or hire somebody to just film it. This is going to be a really fun game of 2 new young teams with chips on their shoulders. This is going to be a really fun one. I'm going to go with Phoenix. I'm going to go with the Suns. I got my boy Schorr.
You're going with JC Light and Brian Schorr.
I'm going with Schorr. I think the Spurs didn't really have a matchup in week 1, so it could be fool's gold, right? They played a Rockets team that had Dan Zevy, and then the rest were I don't want to disparage people, but they're not, 3rd round and 4th round picks. They're like 7th and 8th round picks. And 2 superstars who do everything right the same and everything wrong the same. All their strengths are the same and their weaknesses. It would be like having me and then another hot-headed alpha needs the ball. Like having, sometimes everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. And if you have someone who does the same thing and their weaknesses are the same, it makes it really tough. So I don't think the Spurs had a real test in week 1. So it could be fool's gold. And I think the Suns did have a test. I think the Warriors are no joke. So give me Phoenix.
Keep proving me wrong, Brian. Spurs in this one.
I think what we're not nervous about, I haven't looked at these guys yet for a while. I think they're long, right? The Warriors were tall, but they weren't necessarily lanky. I don't know if I'm necessarily differentiating between the 2 attributes super well, but I think you know what I'm saying. Like a long team, I think is much harder to perform offensively against because of their wingspan and the amount of space they take up, across the court. And since we're a team that kind of likes to drive and dribble and kick out, we're not one-on-one in the sense that we're doing everything ourselves. We're setting a lot of off-ball screens, backdoor things. Like they might just clog that. So I think that could pose a challenge, but I also think because we're smaller, I think we're a bit more agile and quicker. And I think we can try and push this a bit. And we don't really have guys to slow us down. I've never seen, I think, I don't want to get his name wrong. Is it Spencer?
Yeah.
Spencer. I've never seen him play. I've heard very, very good things. Never seen him play. So I'm excited to kind of, go up against that. I think Jake Goldberg, who was our 4th round pick, he's about 6'1". He injured his ankle pretty badly in the first game. So we're waiting to see how that plays out.
It seems to me like you guys run very similar stuff.
I should have seen them play. I didn't do enough scouting. They were the game before us last week, I think, but we had the open gym and the old gym, so we wanted to get our shots up. Which
best scouting report you ever had was on the Bucks last year.
Wow, I think I still have it in my notes.
You perfected it.
Brian Schorr earned his
good nostalgia
stripes on that one. They called professors for
and then you guys got your tuchuses handed to you in the following round.
That's fine, but it doesn't matter.
You put total focus on.
Jason Mishkin and Jay Schaap call Brian Schorr Professor Schorr now after the notes he took on how to take them out.
Right. Take me to the office hours. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They asked for a meeting in his office. Exactly.
No, I think it's a good game to wrap up week 2.
I have to drop, but I will say one thing. I don't want to veer this off. I will say, I think the reffing in my game at least was spectacular. I don't know if that's consensus around the league, but just from the games I've watched and from what I've heard, no one has had any qualms or reservations or concerns. And I think that actually really creates such a better tempo for the guys to know that there's not that there wasn't that last year, but legitimate reffing, with real calls that are invested in the game. I think that'll really add like an interesting component to this, because in some of the other, quasi pickup, leagues that I've played in, like it's just kind of like free for all. So the fact that there's like a lot of structure and rigidity here, I think really, adds such a good component to the game.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys had great refs.
Guys.
I think Brian and I both know the local T-neck refs from playing in the Zion League, and you got the good one from the Zion League, and that other guy's really good too. So
right. Well, I got to drop, but thank you for having me on. We
thanks for coming on.
Yes, we should do this again with lunch included next time.
Please.
All right, take care, Brian. Bye. Okay, so Jack, we're gonna hop off in like a few minutes, but the schedule's a little weird because the following week it's a fast day on July 4th, so week 3 actually begins next Thursday. So let's quickly go over these Thursday matchups in week 3. You got the Heat and the Pistons.
But the Pistons, Celtics next week. They got doubleheader.
They got to play twice in 1 week because the following week there's only games on Monday and Wednesday.
Give me the Pistons.
Pistons go 3-0?
Yeah, who do the Pistons play? Yeah, they have more time off. I think, they have the defenders to throw at and the size to kind of go against.
Yeah, I mean, the Heat and the Pistons both play on Monday, and then they play that Thursday.
Give me the Pistons.
All right.
Knicks.
Knicks go 2. So Knicks go 2-1 potentially. They win their next 2.
Yeah. I think they're a good team.
Lakers, Warriors. Warriors might win.
I think no. I have to see the Warriors matchup versus the Pelicans. If the Warriors,
so you have to see that game before you can make a determination on the Lakers.
Right now, I'm after week 1. I got to go with the team that won, the Lakers. But I think
Well, you said the Pelicans will win that one, so the Warriors are potentially going into that game 0-2, so they'll be in desperation mode by then.
Yeah, I just think Miami's tough.
All right. Like you said, we have to see how week 2.
I am notorious for picking the favorites. I did that in my Sarah check bracket. I'm taking the Lakers that one.
All right. Well, I guess you have a point. We really have to see how week 2 plays out before we can even pivot to these Thursday games.
I got to see how.
I just thought we would quickly discuss them because we're not going to go on until after these games have already concluded.
And I'm not going to be there for Kings Rockets. So we'll see if Rockets are able to pick up their first win, or if we roll or if we win.
No, we'll have a show before then, hopefully.
All right, Oren, I'm done.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. And we are looking forward to week 2 for Oren Glickman and Jack Terrell signing out.